We here? Yeah, yeah. I'm right back at you like I never left, and I'm gonna go this hard to my last breath. It's Lil Kenny Russell, Kanoom Consort Moon. You already know what you're gonna give me. You step in this room, you're now dealing with Kanoom. Yeah, yeah, I'm here. Excuse me. And while I'm here, I'm gonna make the information direct and clear because a lot of y'all can't hear. Yeah, yeah. Now, welcome back to Make My Ancestors Great Again. This is another episode of My Thoughts. This is My Thoughts 231, and as the title states, we're dealing with slaves in the Bible. Okay. So, and it has a question mark. So let's let the ancestors speak and we'll get straight to it.
There's one thing you have to get through your mind and keep it. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And I said there's no exception.
That's the great ancestor, Dr. John Henry Clark. Okay. Um, Accompanying him again in photographs is John G. Jackson, Hubert H. Harrison, Ivan Van Sertima, Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. Ben Yosef Ben Yakinen, okay, Malcolm X, El Haj Malik Shabazz, and Khalid Muhammad, okay. That's who you seen in photographic depiction. That's a lot of the ancestors who molded me, if you will, into who you see before you today on this internet. Okay. Now we were dealing with slavery in the Bible, and I want to deal with that. Excuse me, mostly this week. It's an ongoing debate, and it's going to be forever ongoing. Did God endorse slavery? Meaning, did he is he okay with it? Did he promote slavery as a good thing as long as you do it in the parameters in which he considers good? Speaking about God, okay? Or did he condemn it? When you condemn something, in my for my understanding, if you condemn something in the Bible, it should be condemned harshly. Just like you have punishment today for murder. If you murder a man, you get the punishment that consists of a murder charge, and they deal with you harshly. I have seen some um, murder people who did murder, people that got convicted of murder. I've seen some get a lighter punishment than others, but yet and still, it's a harsh punishment, whether you get 15, 20 years, or some people get 50 to 100 years. I guess it depends on the type of murder it was. You got aggravated murder, you got premeditated murder, all this type of stuff. I'm not into that law and all that type of stuff, so I don't want to go there. I stay into religion and religious understanding and spirituality talk because that's my strength. Now, we never see God condemn slavery with a harsh punishment. Okay. You only see that in the Exodus when he put the 10 plagues in there. That was dealing with people very harshly. He said, hey, let the slaves go. He asked them so many times, and he start putting in 10 plagues as you know it. It's all a lie because it's not historical. And nothing in the Bible is historical. None of the stories we're talking about today isn't historical. So you can go to sleep tonight resting that none of this stuff happened. You hear me, African people? But yet and still, I want to speak about it from a literary standpoint because the literature that we're dealing with, people have taken that, put it in their spirituality, and through their spirituality, it has become real to them. Okay. Their belief has become actuality to them when it's just a belief. So let's look at First Peter 2, 16 on down. Okay. 16 is just a precursor. The other verses is gonna has a title that says slaves. Okay, that's in the New Living Translation. Let's look at it. These are Bible scriptures. Like I said, we're gonna do verse and scripture all week. So if you feel like you want to do something for me, like and subscribe because it won't cost you a fee. Let's learn something today, African people. You hear me? So let's look at this.
You are free, yet you
16. For you are free, yet you are God's slaves. Okay, that's the first verse, 16 in the yellow.
you are God's slaves. So don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil.
So don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil. Wow, that's peculiar. But that's just a precursor. That's Pop quiz. It's not the exam. As you see, after 17, it's going to read 17 because I couldn't edit it like that. So the part that states slaves, that's what we're going to deal with. Let's continue. You are a slave to God, okay? But I don't want to be a slave to anybody. And it's never been a term God in a physical human being existence. It's never been nobody named God in human being existence, okay, that they talk about in this Bible. So that's a falsified lie, put in there by literature. So you're a slave to God. I don't want to be a slave to God. You hear me? Let's continue.
Respect everyone and love your Christian brothers and sisters.
Respect everyone and respect and love your Christian brothers and sisters. So this stuff is always pertaining and dealing with the Christian faith, okay?
Fear God and respect the king.
Fear God and respect the king. Why he don't tell that to the slave masters? Oh, the slave masters aren't Christians, so they don't come up under this law. They don't have to stand up under the scrutiny that the Christians get, okay? Because see, this book is not pertaining, or it's not written and instructed to anybody else other than a believer in Christianity and Judaism, okay, and Islam. They believe this stuff too. So if you outside of this book and understanding, you don't subscribe to this, they're not speaking to you. Wow, that's peculiar. So none of this is dealing with me. It's not real, but still by its own words, it's not dealing with me. Let's continue.
Slaves.
Slaves, okay?
You who are slaves must accept the authority of your masters with all.
You who are slaves must accept authority of your masters, okay? You must.
Respect. Do what they tell you.
With all respect, do what they tell you. This is the book of God, y'all. This is the Bible saying this about slavery. You hear me? Let's continue.
Only if they are kind and reasonable, but even if they are cruel.
Not only if they're kind and reasonable, but even if they're cruel. Wow. So this is what I'm speaking about the ongoing debate. You hear me? If you don't condemn it harshly, some people would think that you endorse it. This sounds like an endorsement to me. Now, it isn't written up like people wanted to say, hey, slavery is good, or everybody should be a slave. That's not what it's saying here. But if you're on a campaign trail and I agree with some of his policies, whoever the person is, okay? Barney Fife, for instance, if he had a campaign trail and I say, hey, man, I vote for Barney Fife because I like a lot of his policies that he's speaking about. But one of his policies is slavery. If I endorse Barney Fife, I endorse slavery. You hear me? I don't have to write it down and say, especially the slavery. Once I say I'm okay with Barney Fife going into office and leading me, I endorsed his slavery bill or whatever he had going on. That's the same here. It doesn't have to be wrote down in a manner in which you say, hey, slaves is a good thing. And God said that. Long as you speak about it in this manner, then people could understand that you endorse slavery. You don't have to say that you don't endorse it, but you're not doing a good job at condemning it. You did it in Exodus. Why don't you do it here? You hear me? Let's continue.
For God is pleased with you when you do what you know is right. And
for God is pleased with you when you do what you know is right. A slave know that he's doing something right, being held captive and doing all the duties that the slave master is either incapable of doing, or did not want to do by his own merit. So he get a slave to do it. Whether he bought him and put him into servitude by birth, it's still the same. God is pleased when you do what you know is right. So slavery isn't right, but as long as you honor that slave master, even behind his back, he's treating you cruel, but you accept it very well. You say, man, I don't care what, I'm going to do right. Even though he's harshly punishing me and treating me wrong, I'm going to do right because that's the Christian thing to do. Ain't that a bitch? This is why this right here needs to be discarded. You hear me? This is the endorsement of slavery. Let's continue, African people.
And patiently endure unfair treatment.
For God is pleased with people who endure unfair treatment. Wow. I guess that's why he made a deal with the devil in Job. He had a handshake with the devil. He told the devil, go get him. You can do everything but kill him. See, at first he said you can do everything but touch him. He had a deal with the devil. God makes deals with the devils. Did you know that, African people? You hear me? He told the devil, go ahead, do everything but touch him. The devil came back, said, you won't let me touch him. Then God did a second deal, said you can do everything now but kill him. So he loved that people suffer as long as he believed that they're doing right in that suffrage. Suffrage and doing good don't even go together. So this is a walking contradiction put forth by some fools who understand this to be the book of the Bible and God's words. This is for fools. You can't suffer well. Hey man, I'm suffering, but I'm doing very well while I suffer. That don't even go together. That's an oxymoron. One cancels out the other. Are you happy? Yes, but I'm suffering. I beg your pardon? Come again? Let's continue. You hear me? This is foolishness. African people really understand these scriptures and verses when you read them.
Of course, you get no credit for being patient if you are beaten.
Of course, you get no credit for being patient if you are beaten. I mean, this man speaking like he knows it's wrong, so just stop it. I was told that God can do anything he want to do anytime he want to do it. These verses in scripture should have never been written if it was a big, oversized white man, dead white man, who sent the dead white man on the cross, which was his son, to die for all the sins in the world. These scriptures should have never been written. Why? Because in God's kingdom in heaven and all that, there should never be any policy called slavery. I don't care what Adam and Eve did. He ate the fruit and then slaves and all this came into the world. That's silliness. That's for foolishness. That's to justify and keep you going forward for this nonsense. Slavery should never exist in a harmonious environment. If you have a nice environment, no one should have ever thought about slaving another person. You hear me? Let's continue, African people. This is nonsense.
For doing wrong, but if you suffer for doing good and endure it patiently, God is pleased with you.
But if you suffer and be patient and you're doing good, God is pleased with you. That's a damn shame. This is endorsing slavery. Now, Peter wrote this. There's never been a man named Peter, but if you look it up, it says it's universally now it's accepted traditionally that a traditional person who was a apostle wrote this and his name was Peter. So in tradition and Christian tradition, they take this to be written by some man named Peter. Tradition means myth or legend. Legend means myth or legend, and all those are lies. Okay. So tradition doesn't mean it's true. Nothing about this is historical. Go look it up. It's never been a man named Peter, but he's saying God is saying all this. Let's continue.
For God called you to do good, even if it means suffering.
For God called you to do good, even if it means suffering. Again, that's an oxymoron. One would cancel out the other. You cannot do good and suffer at the same time. Let's continue.
Just as Christ suffered for you. He is your example, and you must follow in his steps.
Just as Christ suffered for you, he is your example, and you must follow in his steps. Now, let's deal with that. Why would I want to follow in a dead white man on the cross steps who his father sent to be viciously slain and murdered and put forth as one of the most heinous and devastating deaths that people have in their psyche, their mental psyche? Everybody know that this Jesus is supposed to have died the most brutal death one can die. They beat him half to death, made him carry his own cross from one point to the next, hung him up on the cross with stakes and nails in his hands, in his foot, then stabbed him up and killed him with a knife and a spear. Why would I want to be using him as an example? A dead white man on the cross who was sent by another big oversized white man in the sky named God. This is for fools. You hear me? None of this stuff is historical. None of it is reality. It's never been a man named God to send his dead white son named Jesus to Christ. Never been in Jesus to Christ in human being history. But I like to talk about it for the sake of the conversation, and people believe that this is true. I like to give them a little reality check. You hear me? So if this God is all power, all knowing, he can do anything he want whenever he want, why was there ever a thing called slavery invented? I tell you why. Because God in Isaiah 45:7 said he created all things. Good, bad, dark, light, good and evil. This is how the story goes now. That's my thoughts on these scriptures. It's Lil Kenny Russell, Kanum, Connoisseur Moon. You already know what you're going to get when you step in this room. You're now dealing with Kanum. Yeah, I'm here. And while I'm here, I'm going to make the information direct and clear because a lot of y'all can't hear. This is what I do. And I love to do it. And before I take back what I said, I ask them on to it. This is not to take religion from you. This is to show you the falsified information put forth by fictitious names, fictitious authors. This does not date back to the dates that it don't coincide with any of the dates that this supposedly had happened in, but they're very clever. There's no dates in the Bible. When you start putting dates in the Bible, you are purporting that it's historical. You can't do that with the Bible because it's non-historical. None of the people ever existed. So if you take out the dates, they can just jump it around anywhere. Say, "Oh, we found Peter." Well, remember when Peter said this would happen? This is the time period, and they can put it in any century, any dynasty, anywhere they want because there's no dates there. You hear me? This is nonsense, and it needs to be stopped. This is to restore spirituality, which was taken from you at the time religion was given to you. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I thank you for watching. If you feel like you want to do something for me, like and subscribe because it won't cost you a fee. Education and preparation is the first step to retaliation. So before you pick up a weapon or a silly religion, pick up some knowledge. If anybody's offended by anything you heard, I mean every word. I'll see y'all tomorrow. We're going to keep going in on this slavery. Yeah.